Get ready to cause some mayhem this summer with help from your friends at Addicted Power Sports in Evanston. Your one-stop shop for all your power sports needs. Side-by-sides, four-wheelers, motorcycles, and more. Play hard and play safe. At Addicted Power Sports, you'll find various protective equipment, including helmets and also apparel from Fly Racing, Fox, and more. Addicted Power Sports has a full service and parts department for any make and model. Yamaha, Kawasaki, Can-Am, Skidoo, and more. Whether you're tearing up the road or trail, let the experienced professionals help you out. Addicted Power Sports, 127 Bear River Drive, Evanston.
What is Uinta BOCES #1? It's your community college to pursue your degree or certificate. It's high school equivalency. It's CPR and other workforce training. It's cooking and computer classes. It's 3D printers, vinyl cutters, and other free tools. We're many different things to many different people, meeting the education needs of the place we call home. So what is Uinta BOCES #1? That's for you to decide. Come see us today and let us help you make your educational dreams come true.
When you're starting a project, you want to make sure you have all the tools and equipment you may need. From screwdrivers to angle grinders, Norco has the tool solution for you. Have a big metal project coming up and need a welder with all the attachments? What about all your eye and ear protection needs? The only place to go is Norco. Norco is your one-stop shop for all your tools, safety equipment, and welding needs. Norco, 95 Independence Drive in Evanston, serving you better.
Well, Dad was appointed to be on the commission for choosing justice. So they need to replace it. So they appointed Mom. So we don't have a little bit of trivia for your kids.
So do you stay in Cheyenne?
Yeah. That's good. Well, now that you're pushing 30, I want to business. It's good to see you.
Those were good years. Yes, I appreciate your friendship and your support. Good to see you. Kept it alive.
Good evening. If we could move forward here and try and sit down so we can get started with our banquet tonight. Okay, welcome to the 11th Annual Evanston Hall of Fame, and thank you for being here tonight. First off, we're going to have an invocation by Don Bruce.
Amazing people. We're so thankful for the blessing that they have been in so many lives, and we're thankful that you have blessed them with their talents and skills and abilities and knowledge. We ask that you'll be with us throughout this evening, that we'll be able to have a good time and celebrate these people properly. We ask that you'll bless this food and that it'll give us nourishment and strength, and when it's time to go home, we'll go home in safety. We say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you. As I contemplated how to start this tonight, looking over the inductees and just real excellence that we have here tonight, I kind of wanted to paraphrase some things that a man by the name of John Scalinas did. And in 1996, he addressed a convention of 4,000 baseball coaches. And they were Little League, they were high school, they were college, minor league, they were major league. And when he came to the podium, he had a baseball home plate around his neck. And his questions to all of those coaches were, how wide is home plate? They struggled a little bit, but finally somebody said 17 inches. He said, that's right. It's 17 inches for everybody. Whether you're Little League, Major League, it's 17 inches. And he went on to talk about if a young man cannot throw the pitch over that 17-inch plate, you replace him with someone else. You don't widen the plate, you don't make it 18, you don't make it 21 inches. And the questions that he had in the message was, what happens when players fail to reach the fitness requirements? They ignore team protocol. They break team rules by showing up late or improperly dressed. What if players are caught drinking or using drugs? Are they held responsible? Are there consequences? Or do the rules constantly change in a desperate pursuit of wins to avoid difficult decisions? Now, he noted that there are issues in homes, relationships, parenting, discipline. He bemoans the fact that accountability is often too lacking, and there are no repercussions for failing to meet important standards. Instead, he concludes, everyone just widens that plate. Remember this one thing. We must hold ourselves accountable to higher standards. Each of us, as well as our loved ones, our friends, our schools, our businesses, our churches, our governments, failure to do so will guarantee dark days ahead because we widen the plate. We must deal with a lot of perils. Climate change, global pandemic. We must confront extremism, famine, political polarization, and chicanery. We must account for gross health, social, and economic inequalities. We will need to overcome many obstacles, be fully accountable, take decisive ownership of those areas in our lives we cannot control. We can do it together. We need to stand side by side. After all, 17 inches is 17 inches. Don't widen the plate. And as I looked at all of our inductees tonight, I thought, you know, our first inductee is Kadie Anderson, who was a UW grad, Evanston High School, obviously, UW grad, Oregon State Vet School, on to do many different things. She didn't widen the plate. Brandi Beaty, Ford Motor Company, UW grad, MDA. There's no widening the plate. John Carlton, career military man in the U.S. Army, served in Vietnam, now is a history professor. He didn't widen the plate. Mary Orchard, gosh, a cyclist, premier cyclist. There was no widening the plate with her. Yeah, and a master's degree. Her brother Mel, a law degree. Where is Mel?
I don't know.
I do not think the Spenceburg lady.
You might not have showed up.
I wouldn't think the Spenceburg would let him widen the plate. Saxton, 45 years as an educator. She wasn't going to widen the plate. I worked alongside her for KN. The trust that I had, that I gave her, I knew she was never going to widen the plate. Rick Schuler, personal friend, he's all in. He and Wendy wouldn't allow the plate to be widened. We finish up with Stoney Searle, undefeated wrestling champion. Only the second guy ever to do that in Evanston High School. He wouldn't allow the plate to get any wider. Went on to the family business to perpetuate an extremely successful business. And then our 4x800 guys, yeah, same thing. So I'm not so sure that any of these people even know about widening the plate. But it was something that I thought was very important. If you're interested, you can Google 17-inch plate, and it will give you a story, a video, and I just prefaced it. So, with that said, we're like right on time. So dinner will be served. I always struggle with how to do this, so I think that if we start on this side and go have dinner and enjoy ourselves, and we'll get back to the inductions. Thank you. One thing I did forget is that when I do some of these things like this, I always run by my wife, and I told her kind of what I wanted to do and everything, and she says, I think that's fine, but please don't have that home plate or internet.
Get ready to cause some mayhem this summer with help from your friends at Addicted Power Sports in Evanston. Your one-stop shop for all your power sports needs. Side-by-sides, four-wheelers, motorcycles, and more. Play hard and play safe. At Addicted Power Sports, you'll find various protective equipment, including helmets and also apparel from fly racing, box, and more. Addicted Power Sports has a full service and parts department for any make and model. Yamaha, Kawasaki, Can-Am, Skidoo, and more. Whether you're tearing up the road or trail, let the experienced professionals help you out. Addicted Power Sports, 127 Bear River Drive, Evanston.
What is UInta BOCES #1? It's your community college to pursue your degree or certificate. It's high school equivalency. It's CPR and other workforce training. It's cooking and computer classes. It's 3D printers, vinyl cutters, and other free tools. We're many different things to many different people, meeting the education needs of the place we call home. So what is UInta BOCES #1? That's for you to decide. Come see us today and let us help you make your educational dreams come true.
When you're starting a project, you want to make sure you have all the tools and equipment you may need. From screwdrivers to angle grinders, Norco has the tool solution for you. Have a big metal project coming up and need a welder with all the attachments? What about all your eye and ear protection needs? The only place to go is Norco. Norco is your one-stop shop for all your tools, safety equipment, and welding needs. Norco, 95 Independence Drive in Evanston, serving you better.
I'll get started at 8 o'clock. Did you get to eat?
Yeah, I did. Thank you so much.
Get ready to cause some mayhem this summer with help from your friends at Addicted Power Sports in Evanston. Your one-stop shop for all your power sports needs. Side-by-sides, four-wheelers, motorcycles, and more. Play hard and play safe. At Addicted Power Sports, you'll find various protective equipment, including helmets and also apparel from fly racing, box, and more. Addicted Power Sports has a full service and parts department for any make and model. Yamaha, Kawasaki, Can-Am, Skidoo, and more. Whether you're tearing up the road or trail, let the experienced professionals help you out. Addicted Power Sports, 127 Bear River Drive, Evanston.
What is UNT BOCES #1? It's your community college to pursue your degree or certificate. It's high school equivalency. It's CPR and other workforce training. It's cooking and computer classes. It's 3D printers, vinyl cutters, and other free tools. We're many different things to many different people, meeting the education needs of the place we call home. So what is UNT BOCES #1? That's for you to decide. Come see us today and let us help you make your educational dreams come true.
You're starting a project, you want to make sure you have all the tools and equipment you may need. From screwdrivers to angle grinders, Norco has the tool solution for you. Have a big metal project coming up and need a welder with all the attachments? What about all your eye and ear protection needs? Is Norco.
Let's try it again. That's what I'm doing. Okay. Okay. All right, we'll start with our introduction. This people. Okay. Yeah, how's that? Yeah, I think we'll be okay. All right. So we'll get started with our induction of our 2023 inductees. And so we will first start out with Kadie Anderson, who will be inducted by Eric Hetzel. And I first became aware of Kadie a couple of years ago when I did a radio spot for the Hall of Fame, and her mother works at the radio station. And she said, "Can I get a Hall of Fame ballot?" And I said, "Absolutely." And it was, we knew all about her, but nobody had ever met her until yesterday. So, Kadie, if you want to come forward, please, with Eric Hetzel.
So, am I hot? Can you hear me? All right. So, my name is Eric Holtz, and I had the privilege of teaching at Evanston High School for 27 years. And I was invited here to introduce Dr. Kadie Anderson as an inductee in the Evanston High School Hall of Fame. And I'm very pleased to be here. I know none of you recognize me because I'm wearing a suit. But my hair is sort of combed. My girlfriend actually said something about anyway, so by way of introduction, I would like to, I told Kadie I was going to embarrass her about it. tell you two short anecdotes and then play a song. And so, the first one is long ago. And we used to have the opportunity, I used to have the opportunity to take students rafting. I trained as a whitewater raft guide. Insurance let us do it. So one year we're down at Kadie, being an outdoors girl. We're down on the Green River below Flaming Gorge. Beautiful afternoon. I've got about 8 kids in the boat. Some of the kids say, "Can we get in the water?" And it's real smooth, real calm, beautiful day. And I say, "Yeah, we need to leave." 2 or 3 people went in the boat to help me get back in. And so Kadie is one of those adventurous souls who slides in the water. And I'm looking downstream, and here we are coming up on a fairly rapid section of the wild rocks. And Kadie and I both talked about this. This is why I'm relating this. I was younger and stronger then. And I reached down, and I grabbed her by the life jacket at arm's length and lifted her up and held her like this over the river. And we locked eyes. And I don't think I've ever seen her eyes that big with you, but maybe. Put her back in the boat down the road with that. And then she told me, this was very interesting. She said, "Holtz, I was doing a checkup on a tiger." Okay. And she sedates the tiger to do the checkup, right? She says, "Well, I was done, and I was pulling the breathing tube out of the tiger, you know, and all of a sudden, the tiger's eye popped open and looked right at her, and I was just imagining that same expression I saw 30 years ago hanging out over the river." I closed the door really quickly. Here we go. Can you hear that? Can you hear the guitar? When Kadie Anderson came into my class, I could tell by her smile she was a kind of glass. She slid right in and worked real hard. As time went by, I learned she loved to be outside, so she joined the club to keep hiding, rafting here and there. Kadie was a special girl. Kadie gives life a whirl, taking care of critters everywhere. She went off to college and then to grad school, came back as a vet, which was real cool. She traveled around the world, honing her skills. She found out where she wanted to be, was in a place with mountains you can see, hiking, climbing, playing when she can. Kadie was a girl. Kadie gives life a whirl. Living in Oregon seems to suit her fine. She found a guy, Thomas his name. He likes critters too, so they live to claim all the happiness they can find. I'm so glad she was my kid. I so love the things that we did grow, learn and share them too. Kadie was a girl. Kadie gives life a whirl. I'm so glad that she's happy now. Kadie was a girl. Kadie gives life a whirl. Wish her all the happiness she can find. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a round of applause for Dr. Kadie Anderson.
Okay, can you guys hear me? I have a soft voice, so hopefully this projects. Thank you, Mr. Holtz, for that song. It was wonderful. No, I'm not going to play the guitar. I just wanted to thank the Evanston Hall of Fame committee for selecting me for this nomination. It's pretty exciting to be back home in Evanston, Wyoming. I started first dreaming about becoming a veterinarian when I was in Evanston, Wyoming, and I think one of the most important things about this community is how much wildlife and how many wild spaces we have. And it was really great to be able to grow up around all those wild animals and get that opportunity. Becoming a zoo veterinarian is really, really challenging. It takes 4 years of undergraduate, 4 years of graduate school, and then residency and internship training. And I still remember the first time I walked into my guidance counselor's office when I was in the University of Wyoming, and they said, you know, a lot of people want to become a veterinarian. It's really hard to get into veterinary school. Are you sure you don't want to do something else? And that kind of trend continued throughout my career. When I got into veterinary school, I was told, hey, it's really hard to be a zoo veterinarian. It's really competitive. Are you sure you don't want to do something else like work on dogs and cats? And then when I sat for the board examination, very similar, it's a very low pass rate, and I was discouraged a little bit in being able to be successful in that endeavor. One of the things I will say is, while I had a lot of people who discouraged me, I also had a lot of people who encouraged me along the way, and I wanted to just take a little bit of time to thank some of those people. Probably the most important people that I'd like to mention at first are my teachers. So I had a really long career becoming a veterinarian, spending time in school. So one of my teachers who's here tonight, Dr. Kathy Clooney, or Mrs. Kathy Clooney, she was my 5th grade teacher and worked really hard to get me in the spelling bee and taught me kind of how to persevere, study really hard, and to never give up, and to read and write and do all those important things that are really important for me as a veterinarian. Mr. Holtz, or Holtzel as we call him, I don't know where he got off to, but he was a really huge influence in my life. This man was just so passionate about wildlife and the outdoors and science, and he really made a huge impact in my life as I was growing up in Evanston. And yes, I'll never forget those times on the green in the Snake River, and I still have that carabiner you gave me as a high school graduation present. My parents, of course, were in the audience, made a huge impact in my life. They actually drove me to Utah State Zoo every day, or every weekend for years. And as somebody who's now a zoo veterinarian, I think you can all imagine how important that was in my life. And to my dad, just a special shout out. He donated his airline miles to me so I could go to South Africa for the first time and work as a veterinarian with wildlife. My husband Tom over there, he's been with me for about 10 years, and he's always supported me, so much so that he moved to Cleveland, Ohio with me. So if that's not love, I don't know what is. And then of course all my friends and family who helped me along the way have really been important in my life. My grandma, who always loves to listen to my surgery stories, and I say that with sarcasm because I think it makes her queasy sometimes, and she's not quite sure why I want to do that. And then my grandpa, who calls me stubborn, but it's just because I learned it from him, and I know how to dig in deep and never give up. So again, thank you to everyone for selecting me for this nomination, and I wanted to just close with a quote of dream big and then get it done.
Our next inductee is Brandi Beaty. And Brandi, we decided that she was going to be in our Hall of Fame 3 or 4 years ago, but we never could get her in the category. COVID had kind of an issue, and she was in overseas, and we finally got her into Atlanta, and she's with us tonight. So Brandi Beaty, she'll be inducted by her father Ed and her mother Bev.
I'm Jim Williams, and geez, Eric, that's a hard act to follow. I told him I'd sing a song. Not really, just kidding. No, I'm not really going to introduce Brandi so much as I just wanted a few notes here I wanted to share with you that Brandi and her family lived next door to us for 27 years, and I knew her first in 5th grade. And she was always the great Brandini to me. Still is. That's all I call her, is the great Brandi. And she's had such a wonderful life, traveling all over Europe and working for Ford Motor Credit, and she's just a great person. And her parents, Ed and Beverly Beaty, are a couple of our dearest friends, and we're tickled to death to have them staying with us. And Beverly's going to step right up here and talk about her daughter. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. When Ed and I moved our family here to Evanston in 1985, we had no idea how our experiences here over the next 27 years would shape and enrich our lives. Before we introduce our daughter, Brandi, we'd like to thank the entire city of Evanston, its school community, teachers, coaches, staff, and administrators, youth group leaders, including church, 4-H, and sports. Thanks also to the University of Wyoming, and to those of you who have remained good friends many years since graduation day. All of you have given Brandi multiple opportunities to excel academically, professionally, and personally. You continue to be a precious gift. We'd also like to thank the Evanston Hall of Fame Committee for the time that you have spent in honoring the achievements of Evanston High School alumni. We are so proud to be here tonight. From a parental vantage point, we can tell you that our beautiful, kind, compassionate, and resilient daughter, Brandi Beaty Bittner, has always been our family cruise director, demonstrating her keen sense of organization, love of family, people, animals, lifelong learning, sports, board games, crafts, shopping, great movies, and life itself. To the world, she is a sister. She is also a wife and a mother of 3 children. She is a corporate executive, world traveler, TripAdvisor, global citizen, and firm defender of social justice. Brandi, I'm going to turn it over to you.
So first of all, I just want to thank my mom and dad came here from Oklahoma, so for them to drive all the way here is amazing. I wish that my husband and my kids could be here as well, but we're in school, and I've got 3 kids in high school. It would be very difficult for them to come, but I've been sending pictures of everything to my husband so he can see and be part of this day. So I just wanted to tell you, I'm really overwhelmed with gratitude, and I just can't believe that I'm here today. Growing up in Evanston, you know, with all of the opportunities that were available to me, I never would have thought that a girl like me moving here in 5th grade, you know, we drove in on a dirt road. Well, my friends in Colorado, we moved from Denver, said, there's nothing in Wyoming. You don't want to go. So we drove in on a dirt road, and I was scared to death. I remember in the car, I was bawling, because I was like, where have my mother and father brought us? I was coming from the shopping malls of Denver to the cow pastures of Wyoming. And I thought, what on earth was happening? But I have to say that this young girl, I could not have asked for a better upbringing. I could not have asked for a better opportunity to be able to just spread my wings. This has been the best place to grow up. Between all of the teachers, my classmates, my coaches, you know, we went on history and math and science. I was on numerous basketball and volleyball trips, track. I helped with Special Olympics and numerous other activities. And I couldn't ask for more just love and gratitude in the way that people made me feel that I could do whatever I wanted to do. And I can tell you that I work for Ford Motor Company. I have lived in 14 different cities, 7 different states, 3 different countries, and 3 different continents with their organization, working for them for 26 years. I started with them out of college. And I really never thought that a girl from Evanston, you know, had as big of opportunities and the world out there that was just every opportunity I could have. I've been able to travel and see things that I never thought that my family and I would be able to see. And I want everyone, you know, girls that are you know, in the same type of opportunity, being in the Evanston schools with such great education leaders, to be able to think they also can be able to see the world and be able to do whatever they want. I feel like I've been able to do whatever I want, and my family's been able to do that with me. So I first want to thank, again, my parents, thank my husband. My husband is extremely patient. He is a stay-at-home dad. He's been a stay-at-home dad for 17 years, and he moves wherever I say, hey, let's go to China. And you know, that's not something that everyone wants to do. But with my 3 children, with all my friends and family, Jenny and Cole came out today. Susan and Jim are like my second parents. I can't thank the Hall of Fame committee enough. This has truly been just a great honor to be able to represent Evanston. So, thank you.
Where's Melvin up?
All right. Next on our list is Mr. John Carlton. And I have the pleasure of introducing and inducting Mr. Carlton. My first recollections of him was I was an 8-year-old Cub Scout. And he was our Cub Scout, Boy Scout aficionado. And he was, I think I was in the 3rd grade, he was probably in the 8th grade. And that was my first real experience of knowing who John Carlton was. And then I can remember being in the 6th grade, and he played on a really good basketball team that almost made the state finals, but took 3rd. And so John and I talked a little bit. If you want to know about him, it's right over there, or it's in the program. So I want to introduce Mr. John Carlton.
Like everybody else, I feel deeply honored to be selected, humbled, at least I am. And Evanston, this was my home for many years. My mother graduated from Evanston High School. 2 of my brothers, sister, a niece, a nephew, and the woman that I married all graduated from EHS. So my ties are very strong. With the kind of nomadic military life we lived, it was hard to keep track of what was going on, but my mother, particularly my mother, tried to keep us up to date on what was going on and what our friends were doing. And I have to say the life that we lived was kind of tough at times. Our kids were what were called military brats, and they tried to change schools every 2 or 3 years. But I think that gave them a great view on the country and a different thing than had they gone to school in one place. And I felt bad for them that they didn't go to school like in Evanston High School. But in what they did, I think it served them well, and they supported me staying. When I was a young lieutenant, there were 2 other young lieutenants in the same unit that I was in, and they were going to move us to a different unit, and the wives of the 2 other lieutenants said, we are not staying. If you want to stay in the military, you're going to be by yourselves. Janet did not do that. And for that I'm ever thankful. And I think that she has stood behind me in the rock that allowed me to do what I really wanted to do, liked to do. And she supported me in so many ways. 2 times she had the kids by herself when I went overseas on tours where the family were not able to go with me. And she was trying to teach school, I think both cases, and did a magnificent job of raising the kids during those periods of time, and I'm forever grateful for that. And I want to thank everybody that helped me along the way. I had great teachers, 6 years of great teachers at the old Clark School, 3 years of pretty good teachers at what was it, middle school. There were some exceptions. Somehow they slipped through the ed courses at UW or wherever it was. And then wonderful people in the high school. And I remember them and I thank them for that. And once again, I thank all of you for being here and for those that selected me. I certainly am humbled and appreciative of that.
Donna, can you bring me a program, please? Oh. I have an old version here and it wasn't updated, so I needed to update it. So our next inductee is Mary Orchard, and she is going to be inducted by Monica Cockerell.
Good evening, my name is Monica Cockrell, aka Monica Orchard, the youngest of the Orchard siblings, and it is an honor to be here today to introduce the next inductee, Mary Orchard. Mary attended Evanston High School from 1982 to 1986, and from her first moments at the volleyball net, on the basketball court, and on the track, she dominated. As a freshman, she played varsity in both volleyball and basketball, and went to state in 4 events in track as a freshman, setting records as she ran. She dominated in those sports all 4 years, earning multiple accolades, which are detailed in your biography, and I'm not going to attempt to list them here. But ultimately, she was given the Millward L. Simpson Award for Best Female Athlete for the state of Wyoming in 1986. Not only did she dominate in sports, she was a straight-A student, completed multiple advanced placement courses, was homecoming and prom queen, and earned a scholarship playing basketball at Montana State, and also ran track at Montana State. She completed her degree at Montana State and ultimately completed a postgraduate degree in physical therapy. As some of you know, I was the awkward, gangly, freckly little sister who followed her siblings around like a puppy, always in their shadow, trying to fill their shoes, in all of them. So it is such fun to see them both being inducted this year. But I do have to tell you, not at all to diminish Mel or his own accomplishments or deserving induction, that Mel and I are constantly giving Mary grief about her superior athletic abilities in our family. We have so many stories of just introducing her or including her in a new hobby, a new sport, a new activity, and before long, either on the first try or shortly thereafter, she is running circles around us. Mel has stories of taking her skiing for the first time, and in typical Mary fashion, I don't know if I'm going to be very good at this, and I'm out of shape, and then she's 2 hours later saying to him, while he's spent in the truck, "Oh, I'm going to keep going. Do you mind if I keep going? This is really fun. I think I'm pretty good at this." Or my own story, introducing her to outdoor cycling. Of course, she'd been a cyclist or a biker, but she hadn't done it outdoor in road cycling, and I'd been doing some of it. She She came to my house in Boise. She gets on the bike and she clips in clip-in pedals for the first time and instantaneously falls over hard. But what does she do? She gets up, and 3 hours later, she has beat us all to the house by 45 minutes and says, "This is really fun, I love this." And so begins her cycling career as a professional cycler in her 40s, became one of the top female racers in her class for the state of Utah, and then won Lotaja. And if you don't know what Lotaja is, it's a bike race, 206 miles, 3 states, 1 day. I was recently going through my own scrapbooks. I was cleaning out some stuff and awards, and came across the banquet program from my senior year basketball banquet with Coach Schuler in 1989. And Coach used to put together a program for our basketball banquets that included all the stats and records for the female basketball players. And rebounds, block shots, assists. And as I'm going through that program, of course, eagerly looking for my name, because I'm a senior that year, and I have some of my siblings' athletic talents. And I can't help but laugh at the fact that while my name does appear in a few rare places, in almost every category, there's another Orchard name that tops number 1 or number 2, and it's Mary. Mary is an incredible athlete and has been incredibly successful. But watching her younger sister, over the last 40 plus years, I've come to understand that it isn't her athletic abilities that have made her successful. She is successful because of her sheer grit, determination, and ability to push like no other. Her ability to get up after a fall and keep going. I have never met another human who can push through pain and adversity like Mary. And believe me, she's had her fair share. It was what made her an amazing student, athlete, mother, friend, sister, daughter, co-worker, and has made her an outstanding physical therapist, pushing her own clients beyond their perceived physical limitations to heal and have better lives. So I may not be the gangly, awkward, still freckly, follow like a puppy little sister anymore, but I am still in your shadow, my dear sister. Still trying to fill your shoes, and still looking after you. So, Mary.
I'm not one for speeches like my siblings who are both attorneys. I kind of like to stay in the background, believe it or not. But I'll have to leave a little air for my brother's acceptance speech because there might not be enough here if I take too much more. I am truly humbled and honored to be here tonight. This event that you put on to honor, Evanston High School alumni is just remarkable. This little town that I grew up in is just, it's a gem. I mean, I loved what you had to say about it and what it was like growing up here and the opportunities that we had. I want to start by congratulating all the other inductees tonight for their well-deserved induction into this Hall of Fame. There's just some incredible alumni that I didn't know when I left Evanston, and so it was really refreshing to hear their stories. I want to thank the nominating committee because I think this is a wonderful event that you put on. And I want to thank Donna Bruce because she does a lot of work to coordinate with all of us to make this happen. And it was really nice to finally meet her in person. I don't know where she is now after lots of there's someone here that is very special to me and who was very influential that I want to send a huge thank you to, and that is Coach Schuler. She coached me in all 3 sports, well, to start with, and there were some other coaches along the way. Wendy, you shaped me into a competitive athlete. And I learned a lot from you over the years. And there are a lot of things that I learned, but one thing that stands out for me is you and Rick. You taught me how to be a good human being, a good sport, and I've carried that with me throughout my life, so thank you for that. There were other coaches and mentors and teachers that were very influential for me during my time here at Evanston High School. I have very fond memories of growing up here, and most of them I think aren't around anymore except for that one right there. I don't have words for the gratitude that I feel for some other people in this room. My family, my mom, my brother Mel, my sister Monica. Without their unconditional love and support, I wouldn't be who I am today. I'm very blessed with my family, and I also have two other family members who drove all the way to be here today, my Uncle Don and my Aunt Jerry, so thank you for being here as well. I want to acknowledge all those who believed in me, and so that I could learn to believe in myself. And that took some time for me. One of my greatest accomplishment, I feel like, in my life, though, is being a mother. That is my greatest gift that I was given. And I am a mother to my wonderful son, Liam, who came tonight, and I really appreciate that. And I want to tell him, you are an absolute, truly a gift to me, to your family, and to this world. Thank you again for this honor.
Over the years that we've done this, there's always a first. The first time that a father inducted a son, and a son inducted a father, that was special. And tonight we have a brother and a sister that are going to be inducted, and that's a special thing. So next, we have Mr. Mel Orchard, who will be inducted by Bubba O'Neill. And a tidbit about Melvin is that this last summer, he was inducted into a very prestigious inner circle of attorneys in this country. And it is it's hard to qualify. It's to be invited and inducted in this is really something special. But the special part of it is that there are two of these attorneys in this inner circle from the state of Wyoming. And after tonight, they will both be Evanston High graduates, and they will both be members of the Evanston Hall of Fame. Jim Fitzgerald being the other member. So at this point, Mel Orchard.
Can everybody hear me? I'm pretty easy to hear. I have that coach's voice still. The first thing I'd like to say is, Mel, I don't think you measure up. Listening to your two sisters speak, I don't know. And I would like to say to Stuart, real quick before we get this started, we always give Mel a hard time because he thinks he's more important than everybody else, and his time means so much more. Yeah, well, what I've learned through researching Mel is that he is much more important than me, for sure, and definitely more important than Stuart. and he has a lot less time because he's a pretty darn important person. This would not be appropriate if I didn't recognize Marilyn. Marilyn Miller, I just listened to your two daughters speak, and I know your son, and you did a fantastic job of creating this. Monica, you're a superstar, and I know the commercials say we're not supposed to use that lightly anymore. You are a rock star, and then Mary and Mel, definitely superstars. Before I get started with Mel, I just want to talk about character, and more specifically, being humble and kind. And some of you may have heard this story because I've told it. I was at an AD's meeting one time, and there was a young AD there that had been coaxed to move to Jackson, Wyoming. Moved from New Jersey, moves out to Jackson. Little did he know that he wouldn't have a place to live. He was going to live in a garage with a young baby and try to make ends meet as a teacher, a coach, and an athletic director. At that meeting, this young man comes up to me and he says, "Hey, do you know a guy by the name of Mel Orchard?" And I said, "Yeah, Mel and I know each other." And he says, "I've got a story to tell you." And he said, "One day, you know, I teach, I coach, I'm an athletic director, but I also have to do other things to make ends meet." He says, "I have to work for the county and I'm picking up trash along the side of the road." So I'm picking up that trash along the side of the road, and sure enough, here comes this pickup truck, an old beater, Dodge pickup, pulls off the side of the road, guy hops out, and he starts picking up trash. Gets a bag, and he picks up trash, and he said, went up, introduced myself, and this man said, "My name's Mel Orchard." That's humble and kind, a man of character. That's Mel Orchard. Before we get started here, he's always been Melvin to us, and he's always been humble and kind. I would like to present Melvin Orchard III, board certified attorney, amazing dad, husband, brother, and nephew, as an Evanston Hall of Fame inductee. Melvin was appropriately named Best All-Around Boy for the class of 1984. We had a great class. He's the best of the best. He was in every single play and musical in his 4 years of high school, was a lead in several of those productions. All-State Choir 1983-84, All-State Drama, lettered in swimming in 1983 and swam the 3A finals in both the 50 and 100 freestyle. All-State in football, basketball, and track. Played on a state championship basketball team in 1982. Played in a state football championship in 1983. Wasn't the result we wanted. All-time leader in tight end touchdowns. I put a question mark on there because that's what he told me. Not sure that's true. Until the Papingas, still I don't know if that's true. Started on an undefeated freshman basketball team. Coach Smith is here. Coach Smith coached that undefeated basketball team. Graduated in the top 10 of his class. Received a full-ride scholarship, football scholarship, to Washington State University, where Melvin was a 3-year letterman. As I researched Melvin, there is so much more. That's impressive just by itself. But this guy is, and always has been, amazing. Mel has a degree in finance from Washington State University. He is past president of the University of Wyoming College of Law student body, past president of the Wyoming Trial Lawyers Association, current governor to the American Association of Justice, board certified as a trial attorney by both the National Board of Trial Advocacy and the American Board of Trial Advocates, where he is currently serving as the Wyoming chapter president. I could go on forever in reading this stuff. He only gave me a minute. Sorry, Melvin, this is not your time yet. As we go through these things, National Trial Lawyer of the Year, member of the Inner Circle, Dan talked about that, managing partner of the Spence Law Firm, board member on many university, state, national, and international law organizations. He is a presence in every setting. I don't know if you guys noticed, I sat back there in the back and I watched when Melvin walked in. And this is hard for me, I'm not a touchy-feely guy. Melvin walks in and he starts hugging every single person. You have no choice but one, to hug him, and two, to tell him you love him. One of the most impressive things to me about Melvin, every single time he tells me he loves me. And I can't tell you how much that means to me. He does it to everybody, and he makes Stuart, who is not lovey-feely at all, he's worse than I am, he makes Stuart tell him he loves him. The most important thing for me is that someday Melvin becomes the governor of this great state, because he is the guy. I spoke with his legal assistant on Thursday, and I want to know a little more about Melvin. And the thing that spoke to me was, she travels with him in different places, and every place that he goes, he says nothing but great things about Evanston, Wyoming, his home. I present to you Melvin C. Orchard III.
Wow, that was awesome. I love you, Bubba. I love you. I love you. I love this town. I love you, Coach Fackrell. Thank you very much. Coach Wags, I love you. Coach Smith, I love you. Thank you. Look around this room. This was a roundhouse. They would take train cars in and they would repair them inside. They'd go all the way around so the people were working inside. And in the middle, I can imagine maybe a forge. A place where there was heat and pressure, hammer and tong, blacksmiths, men, sorry women, men, taking metal and heat and making it stronger, using alloys to make steel. And that is what I see about Evanston, Wyoming. That's the metaphor to me. The heat, the pressure, the hammer, the tongs. Coach Fackrell, Coach Wagstaff, Coach Smith. By the way, Coach Smith, thank you for showing me what a principled life is like with divine inspiration. You modeled that for everybody and for me, and that's still right here. Thank you, Coach. Love you. And the alloys, the John Porter, the Brett Sanders, David Peterson, Bubba O'Neill, Stuart Proffit, Lance Proffit, Doug Saxton. How many of my teammates are here? Raise your hand if you were a teammate of mine in some context. The alloys that made us all stronger. Joe Holtz. So thank you. I'm better and stronger, and I'm tough as hell because of you. We fought harder against each other than the other team. But the one time another team member messed with us, it was a pack. Thank you. I'm grateful. I'm not the best athlete in my family. I wasn't the best athlete in my high school class. I think David and Brent ought to fight that out. I wasn't the best scholar in my family. I don't think my mother's even smelled a bee. Do you know what a bee even smells like, Mom? Dr. Marilyn, no. I'm not the best lawyer in my family. My sister Monica is. She has a world-renowned practice. And so, thank you. I am grateful and honored. I love this town. Thank you for what you've taught me. I hope I continue to stay open to learning and helping other people.
I didn't think I could jump that high, so. Next, we have Saxton. She makes her way up here. 45 years with the Uinta County Schools as #1. And I remember in the fall of 1960, she was a brand new teacher, and at that time she was Miss Jensen. And I never had a class for her, but remembered when she came here and has been here ever since. And she will be inducted by Leslie Mose.
Good evening. Many of you know me as Lynette. I am Kay-Ann's daughter. It is my honor tonight to introduce a former educator here at Evanston High School and my mother, Kay-Ann Saxton. Prior to her retirement in 2005, Kay-Ann spent 45 years teaching the youth of Evanston. Her career started in 1960 at Evanston Junior High, where she taught English, and at the high school, where she taught business classes and study hall. As the town grew, she moved to only the high school levels and included journalism and yearbook, along with English and Western literature. Being a teacher and helping students learn and grow was her passion. She knew her students and knew how to get the best from them. If she did not teach you personally, she probably taught a sibling, a parent, an aunt, uncle, and later in her career, maybe even a grandparent, and she remembered them all. When my mother first called me and told me about the nomination to the Hall of Fame, she expressed surprise because she thought it was an athletic honor. But we all know that without the unfailing work of teachers in the classroom, students would not thrive on the fields or courts. My mother was a supporter of all students and their activities. I remember during her years teaching and being yearbook sponsor, she spent endless hours chronicling the events and the activities of all students. In fact, once in elementary school, I got to spend the summer at college with her while she took photography classes. Why was she doing that? So she could better capture the lives of the students and frame them just right in the yearbooks so we could remember it forever. In addition to being an amazing teacher and supporter of students, Kay-Ann was also a leader among and for teachers across the state. She continues to be an advocate for education and is an icon in Wyoming educational leadership. My mother was and is an example to many. I would not be where I am today without her. Last night at the football game, former students came up and spoke with my mother. Some expressed the sentiment that they would not be where they were today without her classes, and the help that she gave them. I have heard this echoed many times in the past, and it is a real honor to see her efforts being honored here tonight. Many people probably thought my mom was always a serious teacher, but she could always get the best of us as students. So before I go, I would like to relay a story I overheard yesterday of a student reminiscing of how they had found a mouse. They put it in her desk drawer just to figure out what her reaction would be. And you need to understand, my mother has a morbid fear of mice. However, when she opened that drawer and saw the mouse, she picked it up, took it over to the window, and dropped it outside. Her students were stunned and knew that they wouldn't get to her. She is so real for that. Again, it is my pleasure to introduce my mother, Saxton, as a member of the 2023 Hall of Fame here at Evanston High School.
Thank you, Lynette. She'll always be Lynette to me, even though she has another name. I was, and I still am, surprised when I was notified last spring that I'd been nominated in the Hall of Fame. I really did think this was just for athletes and coaches. I started teaching in the fall of 1960. I was single, but met my future husband that fall at a Cowboy Days celebration. And when we were married a couple of years later, I got 2 bonus children. Richard and I have 5 children, and they have all attended Evanston High School, and all except Rick graduated from Evanston High School, including my husband Dick. All are here tonight supporting me except 3 who couldn't come. Christine lives in Texas. Rick, who wrestled for the Evanston Red Devils, lives in Gillette. And Clint, who is working, but he's represented by Susan and his daughter Kelly. My first thank you tonight goes to my supporting family. I love you, and I really appreciate you guys supporting me all the way through my life. I have some advice that I always told my children. If you try out to make a team, and you're lucky enough to make it, remember, there were others who wanted to make that team who were cut, so you stick it out for the season and don't quit. Always do your best, whether on a varsity, JV, B squad, or you think you're just a bench warmer. Do your best. And 3, have fun. High school is the age where you try things, have fun, and enjoy the camaraderie of the other players. And 4th, I will support you, but I will not be a parent who gets after the coach to tell them that my child needs more playing time or which team you belong to, etc. I learned a really important lesson in that. She was in a swim meet, and I don't know whether it was middle school or junior high, I don't remember which phase of the education system we were in at that time. But she was still swimming a lap or 2 after all the others in that group were through. And I thought, well, what can you say to her when she gets out of the pool? Well, she got out and she rushed right over to me, all smiles, and her eyes were just shining. And she said, "Mom, I did it. I took a whole minute off my time. It's the best time I've ever done." Yes, I was worried about what could I say to her that would make her feel like a failure. And here she was. And I'm so proud of her, and I learned a lesson. And I guess it's in my DNA to always express my opinion. I don't know when to shut up. So now my advice is to coaches, other educators, and school officials. Remember, these are young adult children. They don't always have a supporting family behind them. And they don't make them feel like they're failures in a competition if you don't come home with a win. We don't always know what's going on in their homes. Death is a very difficult thing for many adults, let alone a young teenager or a younger child. Divorces are hard on children, and I often hear them say, it's my fault that my family broke up and is splitting up. It's not their fault. And be flexible on eligibility rules. We all make mistakes, but what about a second chance? You learn that's an opportunity, not a mistake. And it's something not to be put down. And one thing I've heard, and not from this school, but I've heard it from other schools and other people, as I've been watching games and attending, and it says, and they say, so my advice is don't make a statement like, if you don't go to this summer camp, don't bother to try out. Because we have to have that experience. No, families come first. And children need some summertime off, not 24 hours a day. They're not professional, they're learning. And the last thing I'd like to say is listen to a child. As teachers, as coaches, and as adults, we're in a special position of trust. You might be the only adult that child feels comfortable talking to. They don't have it at home. And that teen might be what they consider their family. I really feel so honored to be recognized with these former students, colleagues, and friends. I accept this with a heartfelt thank you, and thanks to the committee and all of you. I still consider you my friends.
Next, we have the induction of Mr. Rick Schuler. This is a posthumous award, and if the Schuler family wants to come forward, please do.
What a great night this has been already. And what a great organization the Hall of Fame is. This is our 10th year, and amazing people on this Hall of Fame board, of which I feel very fortunate to be a part of. I will tell you one real quick story though. I didn't know anything about this nomination of my husband because they were kind of sneaky. I was in Cheyenne doing my legislative thing, and apparently they decided to nominate him. And I think they did it because they knew I would probably veto it if I had been at the meeting, and I think I would have. But anyway, I got home a few months later, and I don't remember which one said, "Are you okay with this?" And I said, "With what?" And they said, "We'd like to induct Rick." And I go, I don't even know what to say. So anyway, I appreciate them. I respect that they thought that much of him, that they would nominate him. And I'm just happy that he would probably be extremely humbled and honored. He would probably be embarrassed. And I don't know if he would even show up if he had been here, but I would have made him, I would have brought him. But this is a great organization and great folks that do this voluntarily. I just think the world of them. Really also want to give kudos to Donna and Bubba and Superintendent Thomas also for keeping it going. I hope we can many years, because it's just been the best thing. That first year that we did just a Coaches Hall of Fame, you know, we coaches, we don't need the accolades. That got old fast. So I'm really glad that we decided to expand it the way we are. This has been awesome. As I look around the room, I also just want to acknowledge all the wonderful educators that I work with. Got Larry Wagstaff here, Pat Proffit. Dick, I never worked with you, but I'll talk about you in a minute. Kay Fackrell, Jim Williams, let's see, Marilyn Miller. She is a rock star, by the way, for raising those 3 kids. Kathy Cooney, I didn't get to work with you either, but I know you did wonderful things. Lance Morey in the back right now, Steve Smith. I know I'll miss somebody. Bubba, I actually worked with Bubba for a while. We didn't kill each other. I know I'll miss somebody. Eric Helzel. I just feel like all of these people shaped me. And of course, our recent inductee, Can Saxton, she was quite a mentor to me. I don't know if she knows that or not, but she was really a wise woman to be able to go and ask questions about. So I just appreciate Can so much. Also, I so honored and thrilled to see so many great athletes here today that also really, I think, tell you, I'm kind of biased. I think those folks from the 80s, those were some of our best athletes. And Mary Orchard, she's a rock star, of course. I think I can only think of about 3 athletes that I had that could have probably gone Division I in 3 different sports, and she was one of them. And she's an amazing athlete, an amazing person, which is the best part about her. And Mel, you were okay. And Monica, you were awesome too. Brandi, Beaty, between Monica and Brandi, I'll tell you, you wouldn't find anybody that worked any harder than those 2 gals right there. You may not have had as much ability as some, but worked their butts off. I appreciate and respect that tremendously. And the fact that they've all become great human beings. Stoney Searle, I get to work with him, but I know a lot about Stoney. He was here when I was teaching and coaching, and enjoyed him, as well as that relay team back there. Holy smokes, great people. And so, anyway, I just wanted to give kudos to all of you before I talk about Rick, because I might not be able to get through it otherwise. So, anyway, so once I found out they were going to do this, we were trying to kind of flip a coin to see who could get up here and do this. So I brought part of the family up because I might not be able to, but I'll give it a whirl. Not all of them are here tonight. Our youngest, this was the light in our lives. He became a daddy yesterday. So Rocky, who would have ever thought Rocky Schuler, who was named after that Rocky back there, who would ever think that he would be a dad? But he is a dad as of yesterday. And so, yay him. And he would have been here if he could have been his wife. Lee is not here also, Sonny's husband, but we're just tickled pink to have 4 wonderful kids, their spouses, and 4 wonderful grandkids. And it's been the best life. And, Rick, he was, like I said, he was a much better man than I ever deserved. For those of you that knew me when I was younger, it was going to take quite a man to corral me, and he was a good man. And when you talked about Mel being humble and kind, that's what Rick Schuler was, and I know a lot of you know that. He was the guy that would be the last guy out of the stadium. I remember going to a football game one time, and we had 4 different seasons that night, and after 3 quarters, I said, I can't sit here any longer. We didn't even have a son playing then. He goes, I'm staying till the bitter end. I'm a Red Devil fan. And he did. And you'd always see him at every event there was. He could sit through a swim meet. In fact, he drove all the way to Gillette to watch Ricky swim in 2 events. Who does that? It wasn't even state. I wasn't going to do it. But he did it. He traveled all over the state to watch our kids. And then when they were out of high school and we watched some of them in college, he also didn't want to miss anything with the Red Devils because he wanted to be there and watch them. The only time we had a hard time was when Utah State and Wyoming played, because he was an Aggie, and he would put his brown shirt on, but he would have to wear his blue and white Aggie hat. And then of course, if Wyoming won, he kind of took his hat off, and this was all Wyoming all the way. But like I said, he did a lot of things behind the scenes. Besides the things that he did for the community as a forest ranger, he was the first guy to help set up, take down, whether it was track meets, basketball, football. Bob could probably attest to a lot of this. Like I said, he would stay to the bitter end. Sometimes I wouldn't, if I was a coach, of course I had to, but he would stay. And I think he just really loved this community, loved the kids here, loved the athletes, loved the coaches, and just loved being a part of this community. And like I said, you can read his biography. There's lots of other things that he did that were kind of behind the scenes. He was a great ranger, and still have people come up to me and say that they really appreciated having somebody they could talk to instead of one of those blank federal bureaucrats, you know. So he had the respect of a lot of the folks in his career, as well as what he did with the community. So with that, I don't know if I've missed anything else, have I? Is there anything you want to say about your dad? Ken, come on up.
I'm Sunny Schuler, by the way. If I don't know you, I know a lot of you. But I want to just reiterate, it's been said many times tonight how wonderful growing up here has been. And that wasn't more apparent than when my dad passed away. You guys all showed up for us, and I just want to thank you.
The rest of you are done. So again, thank you so much for this honor. We very much appreciate it. Thanks for all your support.
Our next inductee is Mr. Stoney Searle. And when I saw him yesterday at the parade, he said, I don't want to be last. So it's close, but he's not going to be last. And so at this point, Stoney Searle will come forward, and he'll be inducted by Coach Larry Langstead.
It's a great honor to be here tonight and to be part of this ceremony. Congratulations, Melvin was inducted this evening, and I know there's a lot of you that are in the audience who have been inducted earlier in your career, life, whatever. I'd like to congratulate you also. It's my pleasure to get to induct Stoney Searle. Stoney, young man that came to us from Rock Springs his junior year, and wrestled for us for 2 years and had a good career. You know, the other side of the family, they did a lot of work with heavy equipment and dirt and whatnot. And they started that at a young age. They didn't wait to turn 18 to learn how to run big equipment and stuff. And one time, Colin, Stoney and Raymond's dad give him a job to clear this work site and to get it done so they could get to work on it. Stoney was overrun. I don't know if he was running a scraper or a cat or what he was running, but he was over on the one side of the work site working away, and he came up over and they were building a road over there, and he realized there was a fence that he had to go to. And clear across the site, he noticed Raymond over there by the tool shed, and he thought, well, we got to get this done, so instead of running over there, I'll just let Raymond know that I need some equipment. So in his best form ever, he puts his hands up, goes like this, and you need a pair of pliers. Well, Raymond immediately saw him, and they learned how to communicate because we didn't have a cell phone and stuff, so immediately Raymond goes, and Stoney says, what's going on? So he did it again, and Raymond did the same thing, grabbed his chest and his butt. And Stoney did it the third time he did, he got bow-legged and got his hands going, and Raymond did the same thing. So Stoney jumped off the machine, and I imagine he strolled across the work site and said, "Dang it." I don't think he said dang it, but "Raymond, I need a pair of pliers." And Raymond says, "I'm telling you, there's a pair under the seat." So that is, I don't know, a true story or not. Like I said, Stoney came here his junior year, wrestled for us, did an outstanding job. He one of the 2 wrestlers in the history of Evanston High School that went undefeated. Ended up 25-0 his senior year. There's been a lot of kids that went through losing one, but he got through all the way without losing any matches. You think 25, that's not a whole lot of matches because kids nowadays are bumping 60, 62, 63 matches in a season. But back in those days, they had rules that you only could have 25 matches in a season. And so as a coach, you would have to watch where they wrestled and whatnot. Maybe you would hold him out of a duel or whatnot, so you could get him over 25. And in fact, you'd get in a tournament, and sometimes you would let your kid wrestle for 3rd and 4th because you'd get one too many matches. And so they came back and they changed that rule to an event thing now, to where you can get so many duels and so many tournaments, and that's why kids can get so many matches. But like I said before, he was undefeated here. He when we lettered, we decided that he lettered in Rock Springs and that lettered in Evanston, so we give him a 4-year letter award. We had a club back in that day called a 100-point club, which is extremely hard to get into because it was based on your varsity points, pins, and decisions and so forth. He was a member of that. When I talked to some of his teammates about him, they talked about the fact that he was kind and a great leader. That when he moved in here, he fit right in and became part of them and was a leader to our team. After he graduated, he went to Weber for a while and wrestled, but then decided to go back and run the family business. Extremely hard worker, and I think that's one of the reasons why he was so successful on the matches, because he just worked hard. But then you would think about his matches, and they were very simple. He would just trade opponents and do the same thing over and over again. Pretty good on his feet, he'd take you down, he'd get away from you when he got on top. He would just start you in the Kansas ride, which is whatever that means to us wrestlers. Sometimes call it Navy ride. You do wait till a kid stood up. And I don't know why anybody ever stood up on him, because he'd back trip him and catch him on the back and put him away. And that's the match that he wrestled time and time again. You talk about a tough kid. Coming out of regional tournament, going to state tournament, he was on crutches. And when we'd go wrestle, I'd drag him out there, take him away, and he'd go out and whip the kid, and I'd go pick him up. And in today's rules, he wouldn't be allowed to compete, because there's a rule if you're hurt or sick or your mom wasn't whining a little bit, you can't compete. Yeah, so, but he, extremely tough kid. I looked in the yearbook, and his senior saying said, "But failure will not overtake me if my desire to succeed is strong. If my desire to succeed is strong." And I think that's very fitting of how he lived his life and how he turned out. Quite often I tell kids, if you want to be different, because they all want to be different with their different t-shirts or different hair or whatever, go undefeated, because very few people do it. Stoney, you're different, and it's a great honor to be able to induct you in the Hall of Fame.
female was going to be nominated for the Evanston Hall of Fame. I was pretty excited. What a great honor to be inducted into such a great class of athletes. I contacted Bubba to get some ideas of what to write. He sent me several pictures that passed the these plaques. After I read a few of them, I called Bubba and told him I didn't think I was deserving enough. These people are not only great athletes in multiple sports, but most of them are honor students. He assured me I was and said, hell, they're even let Stuart Proffit in. I told my daughter and her husband I was going to have to give a speech. My son-in-law said, for sure, start off with a joke. My daughter said, yeah, Dad, or just wear your old wrestling singlet. I'd like to thank the committee for nominating me, my mother for making me wrestle, all the coaches I had growing up, and especially Coach Wagstaff for making wrestling fun, and always giving me words of advice on life. It seems like every day he'd catch me in the hall, in class, or right before a match. He'd look me straight in the eye and say, go spit that chew out. He also told me, no matter what you do for a living, when you get up in the morning, make sure you're doing something you love. I'll never forget that. I'd also like to thank Coach Phil Orton and Chuck Nixon. And thank you, Evanston, for all the great memories.
Okay, our last inductees are the 1984 track relay 4x800 team. This is a record that is standing for 40 years. And so we can have those gentlemen come up, and they're going to be introduced by Mr. Steve Smith.
Run faster than that.
That is microphone set for Coach Fackel's height. I have to raise it a little bit. Yeah, I'm honored to be able to introduce kids who are as tough as anybody in Evanston. Evanston had a lot of tough athletes. When I talk about my time here, I say these guys are the toughest kids I've ever been around. They deal with weather. They deal with just a lot of things. Bus rides, trips to McDonald's, and cheeseburgers and big ones on the trip. So there's a lot of factors they have to overcome. We're missing one guy, Rocky Seale, and I'll talk about these guys in just a minute. The 800, you can make a case for it being one of the harder races in track. Energy system-wise, I'm not going to go into detail, but you reach the lactic acid stage at about 40 seconds of really intense work. And a 400 runner, that's a killer race. My hat's off to everybody, but you know, the best in the world, they have to run with an inefficient energy course for about 3 to 5 seconds. High school kids, maybe 8 to 10, 15 to 20, maybe on the women's side. The 800, you spread that out, and then they reach that point of inefficient energy, maybe with still 45 seconds to go, and you see some funny running for them. You know, but their body's just tightening up, and so I think you can make a case for that as being one of the tougher races. So kudos to these guys. They all handle it different. You know, everybody has a different personality, and these guys were no different. Played golf with Stuart and a couple of them yesterday. And these are just great guys. I was honored to even go out and play golf with them, and hopefully we can do that more. But you know, Stuart was he's just like the determined person, and he would look at the workouts that were way too hard I gave him, my bad, and he's cursing and swearing the whole time, but he still showed up,
you know, Rocky, who couldn't make it, he was like, oh, only 16 400s? Yeah, okay. He has a good attitude, and Lance and Joe, they just did it. And, you know, I could tell stories about each of them. I don't know why they put me last. You guys are all looking to get out of here. But I think that they dealt with wind, they dealt with snow, I told you they dealt with the bus trips, and poor nutrition, lack of rehydration. And then I was a young coach. I could get these kids to work hard, and I don't know why, but they did. But I didn't learn about a key concept in track, and you have to back off a little bit. And I didn't really have that in my vocabulary at that time. And so we went up to Warland, and it was hot. And you know, you get there Thursday morning, and you're eating at McDonald's. You know, you're getting whatever they got, but it wasn't good. You're not the same way. And it was a hot meet up there. And most of these guys are running 2 and 3 400s and 2 800s, and some of the hardest races in track. They all have their difficulties. And then they ran an incredible time. And then we drive home. We get home, probably, I don't remember, we came home Saturday or Sunday morning. And then we're headed for state the next Wednesday. And I had them out there Monday trying to do 400s again, which was really, really not smart. And I'm just being honest. I met with a guy named, it was Ed Iceland's coach, I don't remember his name, but this was an Olympic runner. He was coming here in the town. I tried to talk to him to see what he did. He gave me his way that he tapered his athletes, and we started doing that. And just for example, Nate Kennedy, who has our school record, a great kid, the last 3 weeks out, he ran a 2-minute 800, then at region he ran 157, then at state he ran 154, so he's going down about 3 seconds every time. These guys here would have done the same thing. If I'd have known that, this record would be 10 to 12 seconds lower. And I have no doubts about that. And so, these are some of the toughest dudes ever. I'm thankful that Stuart didn't wrap a club around my head when we were playing golf, because I deserved it. But, you know, he turned out being resilient. So did all those other guys. And I have the most respect for him. The 800 is a miserable, miserable race. And so, Lance, and Joe, Stuart, and Rocky is not here. But I will turn the time over to them. And you don't want to mess with these dudes because they've got insurance. And one more thing, I've got to go. I was going to meet these guys at 8 in the morning and do the 16 400s if they'll show up. The only good thing about it, they won't be tired, they'll be fresh and tapered, so they'll probably be able to do it.
I'm not too good for words, so I need Melvin to help me out a little bit here. Evanston. Thank you, Melvin, for helping that. Brilliant.
Yeah, this is a real treat tonight to be honored. You know, I was thinking a lot of things that I might say tonight, but one reflection I had was in 1980, in the 1980s, you didn't go out for track, you kind of ended up there somehow. That was my story. I kind of ended up running track, and especially as a distance runner. I mean, what Coach Smith said is true. My wife often says, I'm a really smart guy and I did really good at school, but I lack common sense. And that's probably how I started running the mile and the 2 mile and the 800. So yeah, and we kind of joked about that. Like, I don't know if there's 4 guys that were smart enough or dumb enough to go out for it, to actually break the record. You know, so in all kidding aside, it's difficult to run. And I've had some experiences where I was running a mile race and I started out too fast. And I'm in the lead. I'm in the lead pack, and I'm like, well, I'm not supposed to be here, I'm not that fast of a runner, but I'm here anyways, let me just finish the race.
And that's kind of how you would set these personal bests and do really good. And that's kind of our story. Lance over here, I blame him. I took journals. I was so nerdy, I took journals of all my runs in high school. So I was looking over my runs. We ran an 8:29 as a team 2 weeks before this race. Lance starts out, and he beats his last run by 7 seconds or something like that. He's in the lead. He's supposed to we're supposed to lose to this other team in Warland. He starts out way too fast. He runs almost a 2 flat, which is incredible. And we're scrambling on the sideline, going, what are we going to do? We got the lead. We're not used to having the lead. What do we do? I'm the second runner. And Joe, don't give up the lead. All right, that's my job. So I grab that baton, I take off, and I'm running as fast as I can. I gave up the lead on the very last turn of the track and handed off to Rocky, who got us the lead back. And then, of course, Stuart is a monster, and he just went in and kicked it in. And we were never able to recreate that time, but yeah, we have fond memories of that day. And I was thinking about it that, running is super hard. So it's not that I want to be the best. You have to have a why you're running. And I think the why for us was not to let our teammates down. We wanted to support each other. Because that day I just took off. I didn't think about how much was going to hurt, how much pain I was going to be, and I just ran because I don't want to let Lance down. I don't want to let my teammates down. So I think that speaks to that. And I think I'd be remiss if I didn't mention also. I want to second what Mrs. Saxton said. As teachers and as a community, you don't know who you're teaching, right? What their home life's like. Part of my story is then we moved to Evanston, Wyoming. We were born and raised in Los Angeles, California. And my 8th grade year, I went to 3 different schools, including Compton. I was bused to Compton as part of integrating the schools. So Evanston Middle School was my 3rd school that 8th grade year. And I guess I'm just telling you that because I was kind of lost. I was this kid that had a lot of potential, maybe. But I was pretty lost. And then, but I think about the impact that Evanston had on me. The teachers, Coach Smith, the community took me in. The church community took me in and really guided me and helped me. So I just want to thank the community for being there and for taking care of this lost kid from Los Angeles that didn't really know what I was doing, but people believed in me and took care of me. So thank you for that.
Sergeant, otherwise known as Snot-Nosed Joe. And that guy, whatever he was saying, he was the engine room of our team. He was
I better explain that a little bit. Joe would run so hard, and the weather here is so cold, he would have a leak from his face. Like a lot of mucus from Joe. Sorry. Yeah. So I know we're ready to go home, but I just think this is an opportunity for me. I don't want to miss the opportunity just to express gratitude. I think that's one of the things I try to live by. When you have an opportunity to thank people, you do it, because you never know when you have a chance. And I'm looking at, and I try to make the rounds a little. I haven't made it to KN yet, but thank you. Evanston community, especially coaches and teachers, and I won't name names because I'll miss some and I don't want to do that. But thank you for doing that. I think it's important also, this is something I think Coach Smith, those of you who know Coach Smith, that first of all we thank God for the ability and to do things, to learn, to run, to wrestle, to do whatever. So I'm grateful for that. And for parents who support us and get us there. For teammates who push us, who support us in those kind of things. My story's a little bit, I'm not going to tell a story, don't worry, but I didn't like running or track. Coach Jacobson said if you want to play basketball, you need to get faster. Coach Franco may remember this, I don't know, but I'm not a memorable kid from Evanston High School, but he said, so go out for track. And so I went out for track, and I was mediocre, and then Coach Smith said, if you want to travel to Riverswood, you got to see if you can beat these other 3 guys in a 400, and I think he thought just to get me out of his hair, but I did. And from then on, I was on the team and got a little bit better. Bubba is grateful, I think, that we bumped him off the Fort Wayne 800 relay team. Bubba was an 800 runner until like halfway through that season, I think. They wouldn't have set the record with Bubba either, just, we all know that. Bubba was a good 800 runner though, right, Bubba? But he hated it. Anyway. But we were talking yesterday, and that's the thing that we talked about, is it comes down to love of your teammates, love of your coaches, and you do it for each other. It was a great learning experience for me. But the highlight of the weekend for me, in addition to just catching up with folks I haven't seen in 40 years, was to watch these kids who were, a record's only worthwhile because it motivates other people to beat it, right? I don't think about this record. Stuart probably does, actually, looking at it, but the rest of us don't think about this record, really, unless our kids ask us about it, I guess, actually. But these young men they want to beat this record. We hope they do. It's motivating these young kids to do better than those who've done before. So I'm just grateful for that opportunity and just to be here tonight to be with you folks. So thank you.
There's a couple of things I want to say before we close. This wouldn't happen without our committee. I'd like to recognize the committee that we have at this time. Kate Fackrell, Bubba O'Neill, Wendy Schuler, George Walton, Mark Padilla, Jim Williams, Amy Staley, Phil Peterson, Denny Wallace, and then the one that does all of the work as far as contacting the inductees, communicating with Ms. Donna Bruce. So committee, thank you very much. For those of you that have not been here for a while and you went to the homecoming festivities last night, I hope that you like the improvements the Uinta County School District has made to the facility. And I'd like to give thanks to the Searle family. They were very instrumental in helping us with that project. They not only donated lots of time and equipment and everything, but they really made it special. And so, Stoney, the Searle family, again, thank you so much. I will turn it now over to Mr. Bubba O'Neill, who is the Uinta County School District #1 Activities Director, and he has some closing comments.
Coach Smith said, I hate being the last guy because you're all ready to go home. Well, I'm not going to let you go home quite yet. I got a few things to talk about, and you know, I tell Joy every year that I try to come up with a quote that we can end on. I really don't have a quote this year that I want to end on, but I want to talk about a few things. Mr. Proffit came to me before this induction ceremony started, and he said, you know, it's pretty amazing that those kids that were sitting in the bleachers, the cross-country kids, were coming up to our 4x800 team and saying, hey, our goal is to beat your record. They look at our 4x800 team as heroes. I think that says it best. you Hall of Famers that are here, you're our heroes. You're our legends. I was listening to a commentator talking about the Hall of Fame for the NFL. And he says, what is a Hall of Famer? What sets them apart? A Hall of Famer is the Pro Bowler of Pro Bowlers. They're the All-Star of All-Stars. They're the All-Stater of All-Staters. They're our best of the best. And when we go through these induction ceremonies, and Ms. Saxton, I love you to death. One of my favorite teachers, always kind. No matter how crappy I wrote, you always had good things to say. And I appreciate that. I'm a terrible writer, still a terrible writer, not much of a speaker, but you were always kind with your words. I have a lot of things that I want to say here real fast. Stand up if you went to school in Evanston in the 1980s. I want everybody to stand up if you went to school in the 1980s. Go ahead, stand up. There's a lot of them. Whatever. In Evanston in the 1980s was a turbulent time. I don't know if many of us came here with the oil boom, a lot of stuff going on. We knew to avoid the pink elephant, the legal tender, and kind of do our thing on our own. But a lot of those folks in this room that were part of that. And it's amazing the accomplishments. If you were a teacher or coach during the 1980s, please stand up. Teacher or coach in the 1980s. You are the ones that helped us get through the 1980s, even though it was a real turbulent time. And look at what you created or helped create. Moms and dads, teachers, coaches. There's a lot of heroes out there for me. Karen said I would get emotional. I'm going to get a little emotional. I heard my dad cry for the first time 2 weeks ago. Poor Rocco, he has to listen to his dad cry at every Hall of Fame banquet. So, sorry, Rocco. But we had great leadership. We had great leadership in the 80s. And you raised great people. Now look out here. And some of these people aren't Hall of Famers. I look at John Porter. If you guys were at the football game last night and you saw the fireworks show, what a show. And many people don't know, not only does John give fireworks, he gives a great deal of money. Him and his wife Kim give a great deal of money to our athletic programs for our kids to be able to perform the way they perform. Brent Sanders, Stoney and his family provided the dirt work, the opportunity through Dog, who's standing back there, and he's trying to be nonchalant, don't want to be noticed. Dog is the one that asked Stoney to help us as a community. And so thank you, Dog, for that help. David Peterson, chairman of our school board. There's not a kinder person in this world than David Peterson. He acts tough. We call him Killer. That's his nickname. He's so far from being a killer, it's pretty bad. Now, he'll still punch you in the guts and hurt you, but he doesn't really need to. He just doesn't know his own strength. Coach Fackrell, you've been so much to all of us, and you know how much you mean to me. It's pretty amazing who you've raised here. Coach Smith, I never wanted to not do my best. The best was never good enough, but I never didn't want to do my best because I didn't want to let you down. Coach Wagstaff, man of character. Great leader with character. It's greatly appreciated. Mark Medea, the voice of the Red Devils. Sorry, I love you to death, but Mark Kadie will always be the voice of the Red Devils. Thank you, Mark. Rick Schuler, who is an inspiration. I did talk about Melvin as humble and kind. There's a bench at the golf course that has those words on there in memory of Rick Schuler. And the thing that I remember most about Rick Schuler was that he was highly competitive, but when it was over, he was your best friend. Compete hard, and when it's done, it's done. Mrs. Clooney, yeah, caught you back here, didn't I? Mrs. Clooney, you've been so much to so many people, my kids included. You haven't been to a Hall of Fame banquet, but in my mind, you're one of the Hall of Famers because of what you did for my kids. John and I lead Proffit. I hope you're watching. I know that Stuart left you and I feel sorry for you, had to raise Stuart and Chris and all those guys. Actually did a fantastic job. We love those kids, and we love you. I wish you could have been here. Ray Williams, who's here with us. Gonna get a little emotional. Most sons-in-law do not like their mother-in-law. I love Ray Williams because one, gave me Karen, gave me Rocco, and gave me Haley, and that's the Saxton personality. Good thing my kids didn't get my personality. They got that from you. Thank you. There's so many people here, but it's Maury. I know you Coach Maury, you come here every year. In my mind, you're a Hall of Famer. I watched those kids come up to you yesterday at the cross-country meet, and they all love you. They still love you. How many years have you been away? 5, 6 years? And your former athletes are still coming up and giving you hugs and telling you about their lives. You touched so many. Dan Wheeler, thank you for making this go. You keep pushing, we keep having this, and what an awesome thing to be a part of. Mr. Thomas, our superintendent, without his blessing, none of this would happen. He allows me and Donna and the activities department to keep this thing going. And you guys may not know Mr. Thomas, but he's a great man. He's a kind man. He's probably the biggest kid advocate that I know. He's also a big teacher and coach advocate that our teachers and coaches really don't realize. I have many conversations with Mr. Thomas, and there's not a bigger advocate than that man. Has to make tough decisions, always doesn't make everyone happy. I know how that goes sometimes, but his heart's always in the right place. Boyd, who's not here with us, but if you've been to any of our activities events, Boyd's a big part of that. He's the guy that, he does the grunt work. Fantastic. He makes things happen for kids. My superstar in my department is Donna Bruce. A lot of people say, thank you, Bubba, does a great job. Bubba has nothing to do with this. This is all Donna Bruce. She's a rich rebel, which is disappointing. She's not really one of ours, but she's probably the biggest Red Devil fan that we have. So thank you, Donna, so much for all you do to make this happen. In closing, we get questions all the time about how you become a member of the Hall of Fame. Well, it's earned, number one. But number two, we have to be able to get information on those people you believe should be a Hall of Famer. And there's a lot of them out there. There's a lot of folks that deserve recognition. I tell my friends all the time, this is a great night. This is a great night. Because we get to hear the amazing stories of all of these people. There's probably not a person that I know that has more grit than Stuart Proffit. You challenge him, and he's going to meet the challenge, whatever it is. Hall of Famer. Mel Orchard, obviously. You you guys can hear his story, but it was only part. Only part. The other Hall of Famers tonight, you're all deserving. And remember, you're the best of the best. You're our legends. You're who we look up to. Congratulations, and thank you. Good night.
Get ready to cause some mayhem this summer with help from your friends at Addicted Power Sports in Evanston. Your one-stop shop for all your power sports needs. Side-by-sides, four-wheelers, motorcycles, and more. Play hard and play safe. At Addicted Power Sports, you'll find various protective equipment, including helmets and also apparel from Fly Racing, Fox, and more. Addicted Power Sports has a full service and parts department for any make and model. Yamaha, Kawasaki, Can-Am, Skidoo, and more. Whether you're tearing up the road or trail, let the experienced professionals help you out. Addicted Power Sports, 127 Bear River Drive, Evanston.
What is UInta BOCES number 1? It's your community college to pursue your degree or certificate. It's high school equivalency. It's CPR and other workforce training. It's cooking and computer classes. It's 3D printers, vinyl cutters, and other free tools. We're many different things to many different people, meeting the education needs of the place we call home. So what is UInta BOCES number 1? That's for you to decide. Come see us today and let us help you make your educational dreams come true.
When you're starting a project, you want to make sure you have all the tools and equipment you may need. From screwdrivers to angle grinders, Norco has the tool solution for you. Have a big metal project coming up and need a welder with all the attachments? What about all your eye and ear protection needs? The only place to go is Norco. Norco is your one-stop shop for all your tools, safety equipment, and welding needs. Norco, 95 Independence Drive in Evanston, serving you better.